Dr. Dale, and we are blessed to have one of Lansing's finest and general and know it all about Lansing person, Mr. Clark Cooper. And we go a way, way, way back, but I'm just going to kind of just find out who he is, what kind of going, and a little bit about basketball, especially from back in the day in Lansing. So you grew up in Lansing.
Yes, I did.
Okay, what school you go to?
I went to Lincoln
Okay.
grade school,
All right.
West Junior,
All right.
high school, and then went to section.
Oh, okay. Okay. They had some homecomings or reunions last month or two.
Right.
Yep, there
Right.
too.
I wasn't able to attend.
Mm-hmm.
I
All
did
right.
the Lincoln Center, but not the West Junior.
Okay, and you
Yeah.
and you and section you graduated from.
Graduated from
What
section.
year?
1959.
Oh, okay, so you go back to state championship
Yes,
days.
sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
All right, yeah. Okay. You from the west side? You from the west side then?
From what? Born on Michigan. I mean on Main Street.
Oh, okay.
In a house on Main Street.
Close
Not
to
in the
Main
hospital.
Street School.
What? About 4 blocks.
So you didn't go to Main Street. You went to Lincoln.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I went to Lincoln
Oh,
School.
Lincoln
Yeah.
School. Was Main School there?
Yes, it
Street
was.
then? Okay, because
Yeah.
that's Magic Johnson's
Right.
home,
Right.
home place too. But I kind of take it that most all black folks lived on the west side.
Well, most of them did at that time.
Okay, same
Yeah.
way, from my hometown in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
We pretty much was pretty much the same
Well,
as
there was still
well
a
too.
number of people that lived over here on the west, on the east side too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So where'd they play ball at in Lansing?
We usually at Lincoln Center.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Most of the time at Lincoln
Oh,
Center.
oh.
Now there was Michigan Avenue School too,
okay, okay.
where the Fergusons lived up there, off that way. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, did one of the Fergusons play on one of those championship teams?
2 of them did.
Okay,
2 of
okay.
them, Chris and Brian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So y'all didn't play nowhere else in Lansing? Didn't come over on the east side over here at all?
Periodically, but not a lot.
Oh, okay.
No, not a lot.
Okay. Was there ball on the east side that was spoken about, or was everything pretty much on the
Well,
west
at that
side?
time, there wasn't a lot of basketball players on the east side of Lansing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't think that played for Eastern or whatever at that time. So
Mm-hmm.
that I was familiar with, I put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So who are some of the names there? In fact, I really want to go to the championship team that you guys had because, and the only reason that I might have seemed a little upset when you said 59, because y'all whooped us from Central High out of Grand Rapids in 59. And we knew we were going to take the state. We knew we were going to take the state.
You didn't know about Lansing, that's all.
No, we didn't know. So who are some of the players that was on that team?
Greg Eaton was on.
Oh, was he? Okay.
He was on the first team. Greg graduated in January,
Uh-huh.
so he wasn't part of the
Okay.
second year.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay. So he only played that half a year.
Half a year,
as a
yes.
senior. Uh-huh.
Brian Ferguson,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Ferguson,
Mm-hmm.
Doug Herner,
Okay.
Herschel Milton.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of some of the other ones on there.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Freeman.
Okay.
I think Ralph Barnett was on there too.
Oh, okay.
What's his name? They used to coach down to LCC.
The coach, the one that won the national championship. I want to say Barry, but it's not
I
Barry.
can't think his name right
But
now.
I know who you're
Yeah.
speaking of. I know you're speaking
Yeah.
of. Go, somebody know the name from my audience. Art Franks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually work at LCC. I teach at LCC.
Okay.
And I actually been there 40 years. So he was there
wow.
when I was there.
Okay.
So I'm 40th year
Yeah.
there too. So who was the ball handler on that team? Who was the guys? Well, probably Greg was probably a guy.
Brian Ferguson was the best
Oh,
player
okay.
on that team.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Truthfully, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Herner, I think, was a guard. He was one of the ball handling guards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have some ball handlers in Lansing?
At that time,
Mm-hmm.
I can't say at this time because I really can't. I don't remember
Oh,
of
okay.
some of the ball handling. To tell the truth. Yeah.
So was the park popular at all? Is that where a lot of players played? Did they let people into the gyms?
Like I said, Lincoln Center was the hub.
Uh-huh.
It was the hub. I mean, not only, especially even after school,
Mm-hmm.
in the gym and whatever, and the teams that they used to have up there where they played different cities and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was made, like I say, Lincoln Center was the hub for most of the people on the west side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, over here on the east side over here, we always like to talk about folks who can shoot the ball,
Right.
but we only got the more later folks. Okay. Well, there's some strong shooters, you know.
Not at Eastern that I recall back in the day.
At Sexton?
Um, I don't know how many knew Cliff Foster. Cliff Foster was one of the best.
Okay.
He's left-handed. He's probably the best shooter
Mm-hmm.
of all time to me.
Uh-huh.
Like I say, because Cliff could shoot. He was something. But, yeah.
And could he shoot better than Obama? You know, Obama's left-handed too. And he liked to try to show off a little bit.
Cliff was deadly.
Oh,
He was. He'd pull up and hit that jumper from everywhere.
Uh-huh. So who did you see then? Were there some guys who you just knew were gonna make it, like they would go to college and star in college?
At that time,
Mm-hmm.
well, you almost knew that Brian Ferguson was.
Okay.
Because Brian was a baller.
Uh-huh.
Chris could play too.
Okay.
And Doug Herner.
Okay.
That's during that era right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I can't tell you a lot
Uh-huh.
after that, but during that time, I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, of course, the pros weren't real big at that time there. Were there anyone that went beyond college?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Do you ever recall a tournament called Tawatsy
No.
tournament? Okay, it's one that came out of Grand Rapids and they played around. But it was later. It was like, I think it was probably later in the 70s, more late
Okay.
60s, late 70s too. And they had a lot of ball players from all over around that would play ball. So if you were to look at the different time periods, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, can you name a player from each one of those, at least up to the 70s? Cause we,
Up to the 70s?
so we didn't have nobody could do the 50s or 60s.
You kind of got me stumped on that.
Uh-huh.
I'm just trying to think. Like I said, in the 60s.
Did you keep up with any others after that? Just following basketball
Well,
around the
followed,
city?
I went to a lot of games, but
Okay.
as far as following who was the best or whatever,
Uh-huh.
it's hard for me to tell you at that time. So I'm just thinking who came up during the 60s. I'm kind of stuck on that, to tell the truth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where you well, Lincoln, where is Lincoln? You had mentioned Lincoln.
It was
too.
on William Street and Logan,
Logan.
at the time.
Oh, okay.
Right on the corner. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I used to come up here sometime when the West Side was really big, But then
Right.
I think that I-496 came through and kind of split the West Side.
Which it did.
Yeah, it did.
Which it did.
Yeah. But I used to come over on Logan. He had a lot of stores. I knew he had barber shops and and everything that was on Logan Street.
Yeah.
And that was still in the 70s, you know, still,
Right.
even though, especially, but then it just gradually, everybody
Well,
just
I
kind of went
think
away
the
from
highway came through in, I think around 65, 66 is when they started building that. So, which, you know, misplaced a lot of the west side. Took a lot of that, the stores and restaurants and all that stuff out of the west side.
I used to come up here in the early 60s, and I knew some of the Mass brothers.
Right.
Yeah, I knew a couple of the twins. I knew the
Okay.
twins,
Ronnie
and
and Donnie.
Ronnie and Donnie, and I
Yeah.
came up, and because they are a good friend of. Did you happen to know Art Jones at all? Worked for the state.
Art Jones.
Art
No,
Jones.
well,
He
it's-
passed a
It's
while back.
ironic that you say that because Burton Smith was working on a project along with the displacement of the 496. And Art Jones worked for the highway department, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only reason I know that name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And his son was the one that I would come up here to visit with, because he'd be older than you, wouldn't he? Art, he would have been older.
Oh,
than
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
In
with
fact,
his.
Art was good friends of two of my uncles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So that kind of messed up. Did you think that it messed up the sports at Sexton? You know, that west
Which
side
it did, because it put more people over on the south side of Lansing. Remember, that's where the majority of the people went, into Churchill Downs and that area over there. So, which it did. Like I said, and then busing came in, which had an effect on who went where, and whatever. So yeah. So, because like I say, Magic Johnson was supposed to go to Sexton. He was in that area.
In fact, is there anything about we need to other parts about Magic that a lot of people don't know about?
I've got a story about Magic.
All right.
My oldest daughter was going to, I want to think Dwight Rich at the time. And she came to me and asked, she said, "Daddy, can I go to the game with one of her friends?" And I said, okay. So she went to the game. And she came home. I said, who won the game? She said, Dwight Rich did. And I said, well, what was the score? And she said it was 80-something to 20-something or something like that. And I said, they don't score 80 points in no junior high. I said, are you sure? She said, and I said, well, what about that boy that's supposed to be so good? And I said, how many points did he have? And she said, well, I think they said he had 50 points.
Out of the 80.
I said, well, baby, you can't go to the game no more because you didn't pay attention to what's going on. Till the next day, I looked in the paper and see he had 50 points. Yeah.
You know, I started teaching school in '71 at a place called South Middle. You remember you talking about South?
Right.
They turned it into a middle school.
Okay.
And my first job teaching was at South Middle, and this was in '71. And we had a guy came up, his name was James Weddle, and at that time they were recruiting black teachers. So they hired a lot of black teachers from the South.
Okay.
And we really didn't think that they was balling that much in the South. So he came, he was coaching our basketball team, and Union, they had turned it into West Junior at that time, you know, the old
Right.
part. It wasn't really a junior high school, and they matriculated to Union. We beat them 124 to 38. Middle school.
Yeah, middle
Middle school. 100. We had never ever saw ball played like that before, ever. He later became the coach at Ottawa. And I think he might even still be coaching the girls team. I think he might have retired by now.
Okay.
The girls team at Ottawa. But yeah, you know, like I said, my history with Lansing started off, especially when it comes to sports, real negatively, you know, and they went on to win 2 state championships. So you wasn't there for the second one, then, were you?
No. Well, I was at the game.
Oh, you was at the
I was
game.
at both games, yeah.
Okay.
With,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they were still playing everything at Jennison Fieldhouse then.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to come up to Jennison Fieldhouse a whole bunch of the time. I was going. So, are there any other? Uh, do you think that that helped to flavor what happened? Because well, we've had several state championships since then. Eastern's won.
Right.
I think Sexton won another one, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. They won. I think with the Valentines they might
They
have
went
won
back
one.
to back.
Oh, did they win back to
Yeah,
back? Okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. And so you got Everett and Eastern. I think has won.
yeah. Eastern, Waverly.
Yeah, Waverly.
Yeah.
East Lansing never won one. Maybe class not class A. Maybe class B.
Maybe back in the day. I'm not sure.
Uh,
Tell the truth
uh,
on these things.
so what do you think about the caliber of ball in this area overall?
Not what it should be. I'll put it that way.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I think a lot of it has to do with the city of Lansing and Lansing School District making venues available
Mm-hmm.
to these kids, which I think would keep them out of trouble
Mm-hmm.
and increase the participation in basketball. You know,
I-
so I mean, along with the phones and the computers and stuff like that, you know. My call is this here, you know, I think Lansing could close almost all the parks in Lansing
Mm-hmm.
because kids don't go to the parks
Right,
anymore.
they don't.
You go by that, they don't play basketball, they don't play football or whatever. And so like I said, I mean, I think they need to open these gyms after school for these kids. And like I said, you know, Flint did that years ago.
Okay.
And they had, I think it was almost like a midnight basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there were so many good basketball
yeah.
players coming out of Flint, you know. But,
Terry Furlow, Wayman,
Right.
Wayman Brent, and some of those folks
yeah.
was there. But Lansing I mean, if we look at the pros that Lansing has produced Magic Johnson, Jay and Sam Vincent, who grew up right
Right.
around the corner up here. A guy named Ben Poquette. We were talking about him last time. I don't know if you remember him, Ben Poquette. And then we've got Mr. Forbes is there now. Valentine is there. So we've had another brother out Waverly. Horford was there
Horford.
too. So they produced, you know, even with the, I mean, but we don't know if it's going to continue on the way it was, and the parks. One of the problems with I don't know if it's a problem with the parks, but you know, Lansing, I think per capita has more parks than anybody in the country
Yeah.
for its size.
Wow.
I mean, everybody. We got a park right behind the house here. Lansing has parks, you know. So you're right. And I understand they are closing some of them, you know, making tennis courts out of them and so on. But you think if they open up the gyms, that would help?
I think it
little
would
bit.
help. Personally, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would help. In fact, I was just talking to a guy that coached some of the youth basketball the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and he was having a hard time just finding a venue to practice at and stuff.
And going to look at the parks. So at that time when you grew up, the parks were not a big factor. You don't think in producing ball players,
Except for Lincoln.
except for
Except for
oh,
Lincoln
okay.
and Main Street.
Oh, okay,
At that
okay.
time.
At that time.
Yeah. It didn't have a lot to do with Michigan Avenue, but I'm pretty sure, you know, that's where Brian and Chris and them grew up, so I'm pretty sure that there was a lot of basketball played up at Michigan Avenue.
That building's gone, right? It must be
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Where would it have been about? Where would it have been? Downtown area?
No, it was, well, yeah, it's pretty much, it was on Logan and
Oh, it was on Logan.
right
Okay.
near Logan, and I'm trying
And
to think what the
Michigan?
street was. It was Chelsea or whatever.
Oh,
right up there,
okay.
way up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard till you had mentioned it much about Michigan. You know, Michigan School.
Yeah, Michigan Avenue.
Yeah, Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard, but I had heard of West Junior and Lincoln. I had heard of them, especially like I said through George, because I think he went to both of those as well. too. So that was kind of the pathway for folks coming
Right.
from the west side on that
And
too.
I can't even tell you how many blocks were at Michigan Avenue. I don't
Uh-huh.
think there were a lot. There were
Okay,
32 at the
okay.
time.
But mostly at Maine and Lincoln.
And Lincoln.
And Lincoln.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lincoln was a elementary.
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 School.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went from there to West Junior.
Went to West Junior.
Okay. And then
Almost
then,
all of them. Like
and
I
then
said, it was, there was Pattongill and what's the one over there on the memory's bad.
the way over there on the south
No.
side, kind of
Yeah,
southwest
it's
side.
on Cedar and Mount Hope. Right
Um,
on the corner.
Walter French.
French.
Oh, Walter.
Yeah.
I should know. I taught at Walter
Walter
French. I
French.
taught at Walter French. I should
Yeah.
know. And my son went to Walter French.
Okay.
Because I've been over here on this side of town since '79.
Okay.
Actually, since '76. In fact, I actually ran the park program here in '77. I think '78 also too.
Okay.
So I knew the Stanleys that stayed across the street here too. So you like I said, I came from Grand Rapids, so I turned this whole area into a basketball.
Okay.
You know, stockholder. That's why we got the Vincent. You know.
Because of you?
Yeah, 'cause
Are you getting part of that check?
no, I ain't getting no check. Don't nobody remember. Don't nobody remember. Don't remember. So I guess who you think the best place for basketball is, Lansing or Grand Rapids?
Right now?
That's we got that from some of the audience.
Let's go with the numbers.
Oh no,
And then when I
no,
say let's
that
go
ain't
with-
fair.
No,
That
I'm
ain't
not
fair.
talking about basketball players. I'm
Oh,
talking about
okay.
numbers of basketball players available.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
Because of the size of Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah.
You know, you look at Sexton, which is, like I said, there were, I think, almost 600 in my class. Now there's barely 600 in the school itself.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Ain't that something? Ain't
Yeah.
that something? Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. So you think Grand Rapids might have a more chance to kind of equalize the pace a little bit?
I
Well, we
think
had a
so.
couple. Ottawa won. I think the only ones that we have in Grand Rapids, Ottawa won 2 back-to-back. I think
Okay.
must have been 68, 69.
okay.
Yeah, one back-to-back. But South never did. And most all the best basketball players at that time came from South. You know, because
Yeah.
South had the most blacks, you know, in that area. Central, a little bit, but Ottawa later on, you know, became the basketball powerhouse
Okay.
too. I had a chance to teach there too, but it was after that. I didn't start teaching there till 74, 75, and so basketball became much more of a bigger thing then too. So you think that maybe that our children have more opportunities now than sports, because at that time sports was kind of a way out, getting more into the larger world.
Well, you know, it's something just because it's changing. They've taken phys ed basically out of the schools now. You know, I mean, that's one thing that's hurting. You know, I can remember, especially at West Junior, when you had intramural basketball. You know, so I mean, kids that didn't make the team still got a chance to play intramural basketball and stuff like that. So, like I said, a lot of that stuff is gone. So, yeah. But you got TV.
Yeah.
You got TV. If we didn't have, you know, as far as basketball on TV, that didn't happen back when we were coming up. You know, now you can almost watch basketball every day on TV.
Yeah, and we never saw the NBA.
No.
You know, back in those days, you know, we never saw the NBA at all. Now every game is televised. Now you
Yeah.
can get a package with some of these cable stations, and you can watch every single basketball game. You know, every night. You know, so it's out there. So you think that might be where are the kids learning? Because they're not at the parks, the gyms aren't open, but yet they're still playing basketball.
Some of them are playing at the parks. A lot of them are playing in them driveways. You know, I mean, that's where they're dealing with. AAU is still going, so I mean, a lot of them are playing AAU. And, but, yeah.
Yeah. So are there any Lansing legends that you would mention? People, if you mention Lansing and you talk about basketball,
Well,
who names you would
you
throw
start
out?
with Magic.
There you go.
You start with Magic. You probably go to Jay,
Uh-huh.
Sam.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to think after that. That have really, you know, Valentine.
Uh-huh.
You're thinking him.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys have went beyond high school and into college and into the pros.
Wasn't there an older Valentine that went to the pros too before the youngest, the one who's there now?
Are you talking about the dad?
Was that okay? Was the dad okay? Did he go to the?
He played for Michigan State now. I don't
Oh,
know
oh,
if he
oh,
played.
oh, okay.
I
I
couldn't
don't
tell
know
you.
if he played pro or not. Okay. He went overseas. He went over.
Okay.
Oh, he went and played overseas. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And now they've. I'm trying to think of now who some folk this that we had mentioned some of the newer guys, but I didn't get a chance to know them in the last couple of years. We really don't know what's happening, you know, especially since COVID. You know, the programs have been really kind of shut down, so we really don't have many more people. So is there? And so I'm trying to think. Ford, did he go to Sexton too?
He went to
Ford,
Sexton,
he
yeah.
went to. So all of them, except Jay and Sam, went to Sexton, didn't
Yeah.
they? Yeah. Ford,
Pretty much.
yeah. Valentine's went there.
Mhm.
Fords went there.
Yeah.
Jay and well, Horford, he was in Grand Ledge.
Grand
Yeah, he
Ledge.
was Grand
Yeah.
Ledge,
Yeah.
and I don't know if we know in any other Waverly's school district too. Yeah.
Marcus Taylor.
Marcus Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the second coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the second. So was that just an unfortunate situation? Just that just things just didn't work out for him.
For Marcus.
Marcus.
I love Marcus.
Uh-huh.
I love Marcus as a basketball player.
Uh-huh.
And I thought Marcus was limited on his ability.
Okay.
I'll put it that way. I mean,
Uh-huh.
he was a good shooter. He was a good basketball player. I don't think Marcus was the greatest defensive player
Okay.
to me. That's my personal estimate. And I think that might have hurt him as he got, went to try for the pros or whatever. But I thought that Marcus was a very good basketball player. Smart basketball player.
What did you think about some of the other ones that came? What's the guy played with the Memphis Grizzlies? Played with the Michigan, big husky guy, Randolph.
Randolph?
Yeah.
It cut too short. Cut too short. His career at Michigan State was he's a great player.
Yeah.
He's probably he might be the best post player to ever play at Michigan State.
At Michigan State.
Yeah. But no, his career at Michigan State was too short. We didn't get to enjoy him.
No, we did.
long enough.
We did. And he missed that championship team, didn't he? Or he came after the championship team, right? Okay. And then we had Jason Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason Richardson too. But they were all from different places.
Right.
You know,
He's
they didn't
from
really
Saginaw.
come
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah. Now that Saginaw Flint area really do produce
Right.
some great, and so did Draymond Green come from that area.
Saginaw.
Yeah. Michigan State has had a number of great basketball, a number of pros as well
Right.
too. Now Brent played for Michigan State too, didn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah, he
Brent
played
went
for
to
Michigan
Cleveland
State too.
First, and then he transferred to Michigan State. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we about pretty much covered most of the Lansing ball players, but we had a lot of ones from around here. We have Irvin James that came up from around here. We Bob Bentley. I'm going back to like a lot of playground players as well. Did you know Bob Bentley? Bob Bentley.
Bentley, yeah.
Yes, and we had Herbert Washington, I think, that came